Girdhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Gopi Jana Ballabha Girdhari Jai Gopi Jana Ballabha Girdhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Jai Om Shabam Sabaraj Kajaya. Astatara Satashi Simari Si Bhaktivedanta. Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jai Om Vishnu Pavan Sabaraj Kajaya. Sto there Satashi Śrīmad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki. Nitai Go Premanandi. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, 8th Canto, Chapter 24. Matsya, the Lord's fish incarnation, Text 48. Yatseva yagne iva rudra rodanam. Puman vijahyan malam atmanastama. Bhajeta varnam nijam esha sovyayo. Bhuyat sa isha paramo guru guru. Yatseva yagne iva rudra rodanam. Puman vijahyan malam atmanastama. Bhajeta varnam nijam esha sovyayo. Bhuyat sa isha paramo guru guru. Yatseva yagne iva rudra rodanam. Puman vijahyan malam atmanastama. Bhajeta varnam nijamesha sovyayo. Bhuyat sa isha paramo guru guru. Vaishnavis. Yatsevaya, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By serving whom? Agni, in touch with fire. Iva, as it is. Rudra Rodanam, a block of silver or gold becomes purified. Puman, a person. Vyahyat, can give up. Malam, all the dirty things of material existence. Atmana, of oneself. Tama, the mode of ignorance, by which one performs pious and impious activities. Bhajeta, may revive. Varnam, his original identity. Nijam, one's own. Esha, sa, he. Avyaya, inexhaustible. Bhuyat, let him become. Sa, he. Isha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Parama, the Supreme. Guru, the spiritual master of all other spiritual masters. Translation. One who wants to be free of material entanglement should take to the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and give up the contamination of ignorance involving pious and impious activities. Thus, one regains his original identity, just as a block of gold or silver sheds all dirt and becomes purified when treated with fire. May that inexhaustible Supreme Personality of Godhead become our spiritual master, for he is the original spiritual master of all other spiritual masters. Purport. In human life, one is meant to undergo austerity to purify one's existence. Tapo divyam putraka yena sattam shudyet. Because of contamination by the modes of material nature, one continues in the cycle of birth and death. Karnam gunasangosya sarasad yoni janmasu. Therefore, the purpose of human life is to purify oneself of this contamination so that one can regain his spiritual form and not undergo this cycle of birth and death. The recommended process of decontamination is devotional service to the Lord. There are various processes for self-realization, such as karma, jnana, and yoga. But none of them is equal to the process of devotional service. As gold and silver can be freed from all dirty contamination by being put into a fire, but not merely by being washed, the living entity can be awakened to his own identity by performing devotional service, yat sevaya, but not by karma, jnana, or yoga. cultivation of speculative knowledge, or practice of yoga gymnastics will not be helpful. The word varnam refers to the luster of one's original identity. The original luster of gold or silver is brilliant. Similarly, the original luster of the living entity, who is part of the Satchidananda Vigraha, is the luster of Ananda or pleasure. Anandamayo Bhyasat. Every living entity has the right to become Anandamaya, joyful, because he is part of the Satchidananda Vigraha, Krishna. Why should the living being be put into tribulation? Because of dirty contamination by the material modes of nature. The living entity should become purified and regain his swarupa, his original identity. This he can do only by devotional service. Therefore, one should adopt the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is described here as Guru Guru, the spiritual master of all other spiritual masters. Even though we may not have the fortune to contact the Supreme Lord personally, the Lord's representative is as good as the Lord himself, because such a representative does not say anything unless it is spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore gives a definition of Guru. Yare deko tare koho Krishna upadesh. The bona fide Guru is he who advises his disciples exactly in accordance with the principles spoken by Krishna. The bona fide Guru is he who has accepted Krishna as Guru. This is the Guru Parampara system. The original Guru is Vyasadeva, because he is the speaker of Bhagavad Gita and Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, wherein everything spoken relates to Krishna. Therefore, Guru Puja is known as Vyasa Puja. In the final analysis, the original Guru is Krishna. His disciple is Narada, whose disciple is Vyasa. And in this way, we gradually come in touch with the Guru Parampara. One cannot become a Guru if he does not know what the personality of Godhead, Krishna, or his incarnation wants. The mission of the Guru is the mission of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. Translation again. One who wants to be free of material entanglement should take up the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and give up the contamination of ignorance involving pious and impious activities. Thus one regains his original identity, just as a block of gold or silver sheds all dirt and becomes purified when treated with fire. May that inexhaustible Supreme Personality of Godhead become our spiritual master, for he is the original spiritual master of all other spiritual masters. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militang Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivedanta. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. In yesterday's verse, we heard about the hopes of becoming happy. You would think this is normal and natural, the hopes to become happy. However, the Bhagavatam is informing us that our hopes will always be crushed to pieces, powdered, ground into powder by the modes of material nature. What happens to our quest for happiness is that we project in our mind. You see, the mind is creating all these notions. The mind is creating all these concoctions, all these plans. I shall be happy in this way. This is a mental idea. It is not the idea of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But we are so attached to our material conceptions of happiness. How to become free from them? You heard yesterday that by rendering service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one becomes free from such false desires for happiness. May my Supreme Spiritual Master cut the knot of false desires from the core of my heart. This is the prayer for all of us. We imagine that we have so many responsibilities that are much more important than our spiritual life. We concoct the notion that we shall be fulfilled by material desires for happiness. The more we make advancement in spiritual life, the more we understand we're dreaming. As you know, there's the night dream and there is the daydream. Both are based on the false endeavor to become happy in this temporary, illusory material world. So does that mean all we can do is aspire for suffering? No, Krishna is inviting us to engage in his devotional service. He's the spiritual master of all spiritual masters. The instruction of the Guru is to engage in seva, devotional service to Krishna. The instruction of Maya is to slave for the material energy. And it's very embarrassing for us to take note of how that is so in our own case. How we are slaving, sacrificing for the material energy. Make me happy, make me fulfilled, make me successful, make me satisfied. We plead, we beg, we work so hard. And after just a few years, we're kicked out of our situation. But we don't care if we just have a few moments when our plans will work. We feel so good. We want to set ourselves up in the material world. Even though the very nature of material existence is to make everything collapse. But we want to set ourselves up and hope that the setup goes on and on and on. Meanwhile, all around us, we see empires collapsing, individual lives being extinguished, thousands, millions of people being terminated. But we have these plans that we cling so tightly to. So how to live in this world, taking care of our material responsibilities while making the number one project devotional service. That is why we require a guru. As Krishna himself says in Bhagavad Gita, if you want to know the art, the science of how to be in the material world without being entangled in the material world, you must approach a genuine guru. Genuine guru simply teaches you to engage in devotional service, which is the process for decontamination. In the purport today, we hear our real mission, the recommended process of decontamination. Would you really think you need to be decontaminated? No, you think, I'm basically a nice person. I just need a few minor touches to make my life better. But I'm basically wholesome. I'm basically good. But no, Bhagavatam says you need a process of decontamination. Sounds very strong language. How about just some cosmetic improvements? Touch up. But when we understand what our real career is, then our vision changes. Our real career is described in the first verse of today's purport. In human life, one is meant to undergo austerity to purify one's existence. How many have that as number one, as their career goal? To undergo austerity to purify one's existence. Doesn't sound like much pleasure, does it? Undergoing austerity to purify one's existence. What about me and my plans? I want to be prosperous. I want to be successful. I want to be respected. When I walk into a room, I want others to take note. Here's a successful person. Very good investment properties, business going good, climbing higher in the IT world, not being outsourced. That's what we want. Not only me, that I am successful, the children will also be successful. I'm setting up everything for the children after I go on. Where are you going to go after you go on? I don't know, but I've set up everything nicely for the children. We have no vision of the entire perspective of life in this world. And that's what Bhagavatam is teaching you. How to understand your real career. Tapo divyam putraka yena sattvam shudyet. The human form of life gives you a number one career, to become purified, to decontaminate. So what is it that's contaminating us? What is it that's causing all the problems? False conception of happiness. So sooner or later, as a Krishna Bhakta, you have to do battle with this hallucination. To question your own conceptions of happiness takes some courage, doesn't it? Because our own conceptions of happiness are so dear to us, so near and dear. In fact, they form the core of our material being, which is all based on I, me, and mine. How are we going to get over this? The intelligent person cherishes opportunities for devotional service. That is the message of the Guru Parampara. You're hearing in this chapter about Matsya, the Lord's fish incarnation. Matsya is one of the Leela avatars, or also called Kalpa avatars. These Leela avatars, pastime incarnations, generally appear once in every day of Brahma, just like Krishna explains about his appearance. Once every day of Brahma, Krishna comes. So most Leela avatars are also called Kalpa avatars because they come once every Kalpa, once every day of Brahma. Most of them come just once. But there are two that come twice, at least. Varahadev comes twice in one day of Brahma, and Matsya comes twice, according to general knowledge. According to more specialized knowledge, Matsya comes 14 times every day of Brahma. But that's an advanced detail. So why is the Lord coming as a fish? Of all the different material bodies that you can take, the fish is the lowest material body. Sometimes you think it's plants and trees, but actually, according to Shastra, Jalaja Navalakshani, lowest are the fish in terms of development of consciousness. So how is it that the Supreme Personality of Godhead takes a fish body? Isn't that degrading? Well, you also hear about the Leela avatar of Varahadev, the Lord coming in the form of a boar. This coming by the Lord in so many different forms pushes you to understand that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is never touched by the material energy. That is one of the proofs of the Lord's perfection. He can take any kind of body, he can appear within the material world and not at all be compromised or contaminated in the slightest. That is yoga power. Yoga can also mean capability, so that the Lord appears in this world without being touched by the material energy is a symptom of his being Yogeshvara, the master of all yoga, mystic power. And what happens when we appear in the material world? We're compromised in every way. We're contaminated. So this verse talks about, thus one regains his original identity, just as a block of gold or silver sheds all dirt and becomes purified when treated with fire. So there's a process for purifying gold or silver. It's not washing it with water. That may seem to you to be the correct process, but those who have knowledge of metallurgy, they know gold or silver is purified by fire. Similarly, those who understand the message of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam know that jnana, karma, mystic yoga will not accomplish your mission to decontaminate. The original problem is the desire to imitate Krishna. Ichcha dvesha samuddena dvandva mohena bharata. Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita that all living entities are born in this world overcome by desire to imitate Krishna and aversion to following the instructions of Krishna. Ichcha dvesha. This is our psychological problem. This is our nature of rebelliousness. So there's a process for purifying gold and silver, and there's also a way not to do it. You can fool yourself. This gold, this silver is, I'll just wash it off and everything will be fine. It has impurities, but that's all right. The water will wash it. No, you want to purify gold or silver? You need fire. Similarly, if we want to purify our existence, we need the process of devotional service. So why is the Lord coming in the form of a fish? Because it's his pleasure to swim in the waters of annihilation. So three things. When the Lord appears, he's showing that he's untouched by the material energy. Number two, he's showing how he enjoys. And number three, he appears, he incarnates to help living entities. So you have to watch for three things in analyzing these Leela avatars, these pastime avatars. How the Lord appears, even in a fish body, even in a boar body, without taking on any of the inferiority of these forms, without taking on any of the material characteristics of these forms. Number two, how the Lord enjoys. What is he enjoying? In the case of Varahadev, the Lord picked up the earth from the bottom of the Garbhodaka ocean with his tusks, enjoying that. Smelling, where is the earth? Just like a boar would smell, searching for something. Where is the earth planet? It's fun for Krishna to take these forms. And then as Matsya, the fish incarnation, swimming in the waters of annihilation. The Shastra explains, you can read in Laghu Bhagavatamrita, the exquisite BBT publication, Laghu Bhagavatamrita by Rupa Goswami, which is, you could call the handbook of the avatars. It also explains very deep points about how Krishna never leaves Vrindavan. And it also explains the mystery of Krishna's birth to both Devaki and Yashoda. But let us focus on the information about the avatars. We already said how in one day of Brahma, there are 14 appearances of Matsya. So why is Matsya pulling a boat? The boat, the Shastra explains, is actually a form of the earth devata. She takes the form of a boat. And on the boat is Manu, the Saptarishi, the 7 sages, as well as important kings, for starting the next creation. So on the boat, you heard in a previous verse, there are herbs and creepers, saintly brahmanas, all for starting off the next civilization, because of these waters of annihilation are flooding everywhere. So Matsya has instructed, take a rope, which is Vasuki, and attach the boat to the horn. What is a fish body doing with a horn? But this is another way that Krishna is showing you, I'm not an ordinary fish. So attach the rope to my horn and I'll pull the boat through the waters of annihilation. Sounds like hard work, doesn't it? But for Matsya Avatar, it's fun, going through the water, pulling a boat. Everything that the Supreme Personality of Godhead does is Anandamayo Bhyasat, full of bliss. And he wants the living entities, his parts and parcels, to also live like that. But we have our own plans. This is the problem. We have our plans how to make the material world a nice place. And we work so hard to accomplish that goal, which is always ripped away from us. But we don't want to see that. No. Others may suffer, but I will be okay. So does that mean we should just adopt the most miserable circumstances we can in life because material life, life in this body, life in this world is such a disaster, so we should just be miserable? No. The material world is what it is. The material body is what it is. Our pleasure is the devotional service of the Lord. When Krishna is happy, we are happy. Krishna is always happy by devotional service, so we always engage in devotional service. Somehow or other, according to our ashram, we're always engaging in devotional service. All these Leela avatars have their planets in Vaikuntha. They're eternal. But the nature of the appearance of a Leela avatar is unprecedented. It's like something you've never seen or heard about before. That's the first characteristic. They appear in this world in an unprecedented way. Their appearances generally come in 3 ways: via parents, via expansions, and just seemingly out of nowhere, like Matsya. So what about by parents? Like Krishna seems to appear from Devaki and Yashoda. Ram appears from Maharaj Dasara. But then when you look at the actual so-called birth, you see, no, this is not a human appearance. What about by expansion? Garbhodakashaya Vishnu comes from Mahavishnu. That's how Garbhodakashaya Vishnu makes his appearance. as an expansion of Mahavishnu. And then there are some avatars, some kalpa avatars, that just appear with no agency. They seem to appear out of nowhere. That's Matsya and Hamsa. So you can learn all this from Laghu Bhagavatamrita, and you'll know all the inside details of the Lord's appearances. But what we want to focus on today, although we love the exquisite details of the avatars, we want to focus on their message, which is abandon your false notions of happiness. This is something very personal. Bhakti is it's the ultimate personal activity. And it requires the ultimate sensitivity. Constant self-evaluation, self-reflection. What are my conceptions of happiness? What are my hopes for becoming happy in the material world? Be willing to challenge those conceptions. Put them under the microscope. Does this make sense? Is this really my main purpose in life? So we advise, be as happy as you can be in a world of temporary flickering happiness. In other words, don't take it so seriously, the quest to be happy in this world. Doesn't mean you should plan to suffer, even though the material energy has plans for your body to suffer. You don't need to make plans to suffer. That'll come automatically. And whatever comforts and material happiness you're due will come its own way, whether you endeavor for it or not. This is the instruction of Narada Muni in the first canto. It is also the instruction of Prahlad Maharaj in the seventh canto. Your material happiness and distress will come to you automatically in the correct proportion, even if you don't try for it. So this is a very personal life, the devotional service of the Lord. You have to be willing to challenge your conceptions of happiness and take up the process to decontaminate. That sounds very difficult. You hear that decontamination cannot be done by karma, whether I have pious or impious activities. That is not going to free me from my ignorance. It can't be done by jnana, metaphysical speculation, merging into the impersonal Brahman. It can't be done by developing mystic yoga practices. What to speak of, it can't be done by careerism and investments. Somehow we think, well, it can't be done by karma, can't be done by jnana, can't be done by yoga, but my career, my investments, yes, it can be done. Our only hope is our devotional service. The genuine guru instructs in that way. Give up all your concocted plans for happiness and take Krishna's plan. So we might say, but Krishna's plan is so difficult. If you can't accomplish the goal by karma, jnana, and yoga, what are you going to do? Chant the Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Never give up chanting Hare Krishna. That's the only austerity that Mahaprabhu asked for. By chanting Hare Krishna, you'll be able to follow the 4 rules. Without chanting Hare Krishna, we have no spiritual power. So Matsya Avatar appeared, first of all, to rescue the Vedas. Lord Brahma was fearful, the Shastra explains. He was fearful of the waters of annihilation. And so out of fear, his mouth opened and out came the Vedas He was attacked by one demon, Hayagriva. There's also avatar of the Lord called Hayagriva, but don't confuse the two. So, in the form of Matsya avatar, the Lord came and rescued Brahma, rescued the Vedas. The second time was to ensure that Satyavrata, King Satyavrata, would be able to survive the annihilation along with the 7 rishis, the necessary brahmanas, and all the ingredients, herbs and creepers, etc., to start life once again when the waters of annihilation receded. The waters of annihilation is something very serious. Just like you've heard this past weekend, how southeastern Queensland and northern New South Wales were bracing for flooding. It's very terrifying. If you've actually ever experienced a raging flood. Just a few days ago, one man was driving over a stream in his 4-wheel drive car. He was driving on the bridge, little bridge over the stream. No problem. The stream is very high. It's rushing because of the coming cyclone. But I have a 4-wheel drive. But unfortunately, very sadly, as he tried to cross over, you can just see him having pride in his technological prowess. He tried to cross over the little bridge, which was by that time covered with water, and the waves carried the car away. He successfully got out of the car. Although the car is in the stream and sinking, he got out. And he hung on to a tree and tied himself by a rope to the tree. Some other he had a rope, I don't know. And he tied himself to the tree. But still, the rushing water carried him away. So this is symptomatic of how we live. We take pride in our material technology. It will save us. But the waves of material nature carry us away, in spite of all our plans. So let us be honest. Let us be very scientific. That means analyze our hopes for becoming happy in this world. And because of those hopes, we are performing so many karmic activities. Who is performing punya, good karma these days? People don't even know what punya is. Meanwhile, they're performing heaps of papa, impious, sinful activities. Is there something better to do in life? Yes, engage in devotional service. All right, any questions? Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the wonderful class. I wanted to ask, how to act in this material world in such a way that even while performing our material duties, we never lose focus of our spiritual goal.
Wait, what's the last sentence?
That we never lose focus of our spiritual goal.
Someone asked me that last night after our wonderful student program up the street. You and I and everyone all require the association of devotees. In that association, you can maintain the focus. Otherwise, you should be sure that in material association, you will lose the focus. No other way. You will lose the focus by too much material association. It's just the way the material world works. You might think, oh, I will be the exception. I'll always think of Krishna while I'm unnecessarily associating with materialistic persons. But you'll find out, in spite of your best intentions, what does Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur explain? He says, by materialistic association, you lose the ability to discriminate between devotional service and material affairs. You become dull. You're like a knife that becomes dull. Everything looks spiritual to you. Everything looks the same. Chanting Hare Krishna, associating with material people, it's all the same. So what is too much material association? Everyone has to work. Everyone's going to school. But you have to be aware of the science of contamination, because our mission is decontamination. So this is why Lord Chaitanya, when asked by householders, what is the first symptom of a Vaishnava? He said, what? Who knows? Asat Sango Jag A Vaishnava Achar. The first symptom of a Vaishnava is that he or she gives up the association of materialistic persons. Now you ask, how do you do that when you have to go to work? You have relatives who are not devotees. You're going to the university. You keep it to a minimum, your association. You don't let it enter your heart, the association, the unavoidable association with materialistic persons. You don't let their desires, their vision, their goals enter your heart. Otherwise, you become contaminated. And everything becomes hazy. Well, there's devotional service, there's being nice to people, and you can't discriminate. Bhakti requires sensitivity to Krishna. All right?
Thank you, Maharaj.
Anything else?
Maharaj, can
Yes.
I ask one more question?
Yes.
I just want to ask, like you mentioned, that we should not let this like material association
Hold the
enter
mic
our.
closer to your face.
Like you mentioned, like we should not let the material association get like touch our heart. Like how do we ensure that we are not letting the conversation or interaction with the material world or material people get to our heart? How to protect ourselves?
You don't reveal your heart. You're respectful. A devotee respects all living entities, but you don't reveal your heart, your deepest aspirations. When you reveal your heart, you're allowing the other person to enter into your heart with their contaminations. So that you have to be able to distinguish between being respectful, appreciative, externally, but maintain the purity, the sanctity of your heart. Maybe a good example is how a married woman deals with other men. Respectful, but there's a place in the heart that can't be touched. Yes. The microphone has to come a long way.
Thank you, Maharaj. Maharaj, my question is pertaining to this decontamination. We are engaged with the process of devotional service, and Anarth Nivritti is one of the milestones. However, in my personal experience of the practice of bhakti, Anarth Nivritti is a gradual process. It takes a lot of effort, a lot of focus, and there are setbacks. So how to kind of bounce back, or how to, despite our best effort, Anarth Nivritti is a long, tedious process. How do we maintain enthusiasm after many years of practice? You see, oh, my anarthas are still standing where they were 15 years ago. So how do we maintain enthusiasm to carry on and not be let down by our own struggles? Thank you.
The process of devotional service is not tedious. It's very exciting. One thing every devotee can count on is that if you're properly engaged in a bhakti lifestyle, you'll never have a boring moment. The path of bhakti is everything except boring. There'll always be the excitement of applying Lord Chaitanya's mission, applying Krishna's instruction and carrying out Lord Chaitanya's mission. So, join in the excitement. If you feel bored or that everything is tedious in your spiritual life, that means you're not properly taking part in Lord Chaitanya's mission. Just like how exciting was it to hear the results of the Prabhupada Marathon book distribution in Melbourne. That's excitement. All the devotees who participated were so excited. They're going beyond their selfish little world and giving Lord Chaitanya's mercy to others. But a selfish life is very boring and tedious. So we want everyone to in some way be part of Lord Chaitanya's mission. Contribute something. What does Bhagavatam say? Pranar artar diya vacha. You can give your whole life to Lord Chaitanya's mission. You can give your wealth. You can use your intelligence to strategize how to spread Lord Chaitanya's mission. Vacha, you can give your words. Do something. Do it all. Your life will be exciting. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, you mentioned that when the Lord appears as Matsya avatar, there are 3 reasons. Maharaj, can you please guide...
For every Leela avatar, there are 3 reasons.
Okay, thank you, Maharaj. Can you please advise me about the 3rd reason, as I missed that? Sorry, Maharaj.
For the welfare of the devotees, just like Matsya in this appearance is taking care of King Satyavrata.
Okay, thank you, Maharaj. Thank you, Maharaj.
He's making it so that the future Manu, Vaivasvata, the son of Vivaswan, will be able to properly function.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you.
Just like Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says, Paritranaya sadhunam vanashaya chaduskatam. First of all, to deliver the sadhus. Krishna comes, the other Leela avatars come. But as you know, a genuine sadhu doesn't need to be delivered. But Krishna is coming to show, look at my pleasure pastimes. Enjoy hearing about my Leelas.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, in our philosophy we understand that material pleasures are temporary. So, are material pleasures miserable just because they are temporary, or even if they were permanent, it was even worse? Like, if material pleasures were miserable only if they were temporary, then what is wrong with the demoniac civilization or the materialistic civilization which is trying to make their lives permanent?
Trying to make their lives what?
Like trying to make their lives permanent, or trying to elongate their lives, or even in the past Ravana wanted to go to heaven by just building a staircase. So trying to enjoy material life for an unlimited period of time.
But you can't do that.
You can't do that. So is it miserable just because it is temporary, or then why did Krishna create it like that?
It is miserable.
Yes.
It's insubstantial. As Lord Brahma points out in Brahma Samhita, Chayeva Yasya Bhubanani Bhavarti Durga. It's a chaya, it is a shadow. You're grasping the shadow of reality. You're not grasping the reality. So besides it being flickering and temporary, it's insubstantial. Like you want to deal with someone, you want to interact with someone, so you interact with their shadow. You want to get married, you marry the shadow of the person. Lady wants to have children, she loves the shadow of the baby. Doesn't work. There's something there in the shadow. because it's related to the reality, but it won't satisfy you. Yes.
Maharaj, you mentioned yoga is equal to capability. Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
Sanskrit words have many meanings, but as Prabhupada explained once, when you see a bird flying in the sky, that's yoga. The bird has this yoga ability to, you can't do it, try moving your arms and flying. Earthworms, as they tunnel through the earth, they eat the dirt. You can't do that. That's yoga power. And Krishna is Yogeshvara. Another way you can say is that Krishna is Yogeshvareshvara, the master of the masters of yoga power. And his greatest yogic demonstration is he can come into this material world as a fish, as a turtle, as a boar, and have nothing to do with material contamination. And he wants to teach you this yoga ability, how to live in the material world and be completely free from contamination. Krishna can teach you that yoga. Krishna can teach you how to make money all for his pleasure. Preaching according to time and place.
Hare Krishna.
You wanted to ask a question?
Hare
Give it a
Krishna.
microphone.
I have a question.
All right.
Maharaj, thank you for the class. I had this question, maybe not related to this class, but Krishna tells that once when he's pleased from someone, he takes away all his possessions, all the relatives. And
Wait a minute. Do you hear what he said? Look, we know that Krishna takes away everything, all the possessions. That's for a special devotee.
yes, so
If you're not a special devotee, then don't worry.
well, the second part was it.
But you forget the other part. He's Hare. Yasyaham anigranami harisye taddanam shanai. He takes away the impediments to pure love and rewards you with ecstatic love for him. So we always forget the second half as we tremble in fear. Oh, if I become a bhakta, I lose everything.
Second part was when Dhruv Maharaj was there, when he saw the Lord, and Lord Vishnu actually didn't take anything but gave everything, more than actually what he desired. So I felt that was contradictory. He didn't take, but then he actually gave more material possessions. So.
And Dhruva lamented, "What a fool I was. I was searching after broken pieces of glass, and now I have the greatest jewel. What a fool I was." So in the purports, Srila Prabhupada instructs, don't lament like Dhruva Maharaj. Don't put yourself in that situation. It's hard for us to understand because we think, well, Dhruva got everything, nothing to lament about. But Dhruva, when asking for a benediction from the Supreme Lord, said, just give me the association of pure devotees. That's the greatest wealth. So you have to, through knowledge, change the perspective. Otherwise, we have this unfounded fear that Krishna will take everything away from me. Meanwhile, material nature is taking everything every day. ATO is taking your money. That's okay. But Krishna, no, don't touch me. Family is taking all your money. But that is the life of a successful family man. Take all the money, please. But when Krishna When we serve Krishna, we have this fear. He's going to take something. Because underneath it all, we're thinking, Krishna should be giving me. I did my puja. What's he going to give? When's it coming? As we approach Gaur Purnima, let us remember Krishna, as Lord Chaitanya, is giving what no other avatar will give. That's the opportunity to develop pure love of Krishna. That is real wealth. So we have to change our perspective in terms of what is real wealth so that we don't have this unnecessary paranoia. I become a bhakta and Krishna will take everything. And then we're thinking, how to be a bhakta and not lose everything? Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for the nice class. Maharaj, with the part of decontamination, I was also listening to one of the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam classes, and there one Maharaj was mentioning the truthfulness is the only leg where in Kali Yuga the Dharma is standing on.
That's stated in Bhagavatam, first canto, yes.
Yeah. And
You have read first canto?
it's going on, Maharaj.
Very good.
Yeah.
Work in progress.
Yes, Maharaj. So, at times, we don't really be truthful, especially with workplaces. We have to give them, they don't understand. So we give them a lot of excuses so that we can be with Krishna or devotees.
That's all part of the work life. It's a drama. Just like Prabhupada explains in the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, if you're a business person, you always have to say, I'm not making any profit from you. This is the lowest price. I'm taking loss. That's part of business. As Krishna explains, every endeavor in the material world has some fault. Just like with fire comes some smoke. But you have to do your duty. So you can't, bhakti is not an opportunity to be sentimental. In doing your affairs in this world, you have to act in such a way that you don't compromise your life. But the real core of your life is your spiritual practices. Workplace is a drama. Oh yes, this job is my everything. I'm giving my all in all. I was just in Noida last week, a few days ago, and one devotee was telling me the latest way to pressurize IT people in India, how to get more work out of you. So the boss came to her, and she's in the IT world, and said, would you like to give 150%? And you can't say no. If you say no, that means the end of your job. They just get someone else, because now that India is the most populous country in the world, what is it, 1.3 billion? 1.5 billion, sorry. 1.5 billion, 50% of the population is under the age of 25. So the employers they're very confident. Do you want to give 150%? You can't say no, otherwise someone else will take your place. So the boss was telling her, I give 200%. So what does it mean to give 150%? Work from 9 a.m. till 10 p.m. every day. Come in on weekends. That shows that you really value your job. It's very difficult. So part of work life is to convince the boss, this is my everything. The job is all in all for me. I'm giving my best. Meanwhile, you're thinking, how can I reduce my time here so I can go chant Hare Krishna? That's part of the working life. The boss is thinking, how to get more out of you. Can you give 150%? You're thinking, how can I give 75%? That's the way it is. But when your life is Krishna focused, you're not simply trying to avoid material suffering. You're trying to engage in Krishna's service. That's a big difference. Yes. You can pass it way in the back.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, how to overcome the fear of losing devotional service due
How to what?
overcome the fear of losing devotional service due to anarthas or material association?
By constantly associating as much as you can with devotees. That'll keep you sharp. You'll become like whom you associate with. Have no doubts about that. You may think, oh no, I know Krishna is God. I can just associate with this one, this crowd, that crowd. You will be contaminated, for sure. It's a scientific fact. As Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita, Karnam Gunasangasya Sadasad Yoni Janmasu. You see, it's not that you're simply associating with these persons, you're associating with the modes of material nature that are affecting these persons. You have to see the whole picture. All right?
Thank you, Maharaj.
So we're near the end of this chapter of Matsya, the Lord's fish incarnation. Remember this prayer by Jayadev Goswami? Keshava Drita Meena Sharira Jai Jagadisha Hare. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.